Hey, good morning. Good morning, Patriots. I'm trying to get the chat going here, so bear with me for 1 minute here. You know how it is, live TV and all that. Good to see you all. Well, I can't see you, but you can see me. And let me just say a good morning. Good morning, Vietnam. No, I didn't say that. Just good morning. So we're here for another great day of Wake Up Patriots. You're Patriots. I'm a patriot. We're waking up, which is a good thing. So someone else is waking up who did not speak 24 hours in front of the Senate is Chris Cordani. Good morning, Chris.
I could do it though. Just need to shave my head and wave my arms like Spartacus.
So yeah, I didn't tell Chris I was going to do this, so he'll be surprised. So he spoke for 24 hours. It's like he did the equivalent of political masturbation for the Democrats. Did you know that? That's what that was, because he didn't do anything of substance. It was like, oh,
Well, he is a
okay, that's
Democrat.
I just don't know what the point is. Like I said, it's kind of like self-pleasuring of the Democrats as a party because they're so low, so low. They're like a 21% approval. Is there? There he is. There he is. He's like a human condom. I think he's got the kind of
The point is at the
he's
top of his
got a
head.
he's got the that's right. That's right. You can see it there. It's kind of hidden, but it's there. So
Want to play a sample for the Patriots?
yeah, let's do it. I know we didn't plan this, but this is good. Let's do this.
Let's do a 1 minute excerpt from Cory the Booker Man.
Artifice that I've ever seen to obscure the truth in America, that what the Republicans are trying to do is cut massively into health care for Americans in order to give tax cuts to the wealthiest, disproportionately to the wealthiest who don't need it, and to drive up the deficits, making our children and our children's children have a more dangerous economy and higher debt payments to make, debt payments that will skyrocket higher than any expense the government makes. We are literally about to see something go through reconciliation that threatens to sacrifice our children's future so the richest of the rich can get richer. And so I know there's a lot of people who are angry, who are worried, who are feeling overwhelmed, who are struggling to make ends meet, but I know of only one way to do this, and I'm trying to do it myself, is to do things differently, to stand up, to speak up, to not act like this is just normal in our country.
Yes, he's definitely a do-it-yourselfer, if you don't mind the phrase.
Yeah, let me bring up a point that he makes a number of times during the screed. Oh, the tax cuts are going to harm us because of deficit. Like, no, Senator Masturbation Head. It's it's true. If you rub his head, something happens. I don't know what. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Someone should try it though.
He actually looks like that Jeff Bezos orbiter that we showed yesterday, doesn't he?
That's right.
His head
The
looks like?
blue origins. I know where his origins are, but let's not get down. We don't want to go down that path. But the path I do want to go down is the fact that he has said, like, what the Democrats think is like, Chris, I don't know if you know this, according to them, you have no right to your money. And it's you are being given a privilege if they let you keep more of your money. It's like you should be grateful. It's like, so it's really, and this is the thing that completely separates the mental masturbation of Booker and our side, which is we, the people, have the right to retain the value of our work, our labor, and our money. The government has no inherent right to it, and yet somehow we're the bad guys because we're getting tax cuts. Think about the insanity of that. And the second thing, there's no indications they're going. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, before we get to that second thing, their mentality is, however, that the government can spend money more wisely than you because they think they're doing good with that. Now, on the other hand, most of them are laundering money through pet projects, as we've found out over the last month and a half.
Exactly.
So this is what, and they're
Exactly.
trying to tell you, look, we're doing all these good things for you. If it wasn't for you paying your taxes, you wouldn't have this, this, or this. The fact is, yes, okay, there is we in a good capitalist society, we
No.
do need safety nets. We don't need to teach DEI to Serbians.
I am now convinced, even though I haven't been in office that long, the lessons I've learned indicate to me that all services regarding the safety net you mentioned, public health, it all needs to be managed by the states and local, no federal. The federal government has nothing to do in this. All they do is come in and they try to use tax dollars to like they did overseas too, Chris. They did this overseas. They try to tie money to changes in behavior. Like, oh, you want that $20,000 grant for your hospital? You got to do DEI. It's about it. I'm serious. That's what they're upset about. That's what he's upset about. If they have tax cuts from the federal budget, they can't use, to your point, the funding to do all their different phony baloney programs. So that's what he's talking about. And the idea of defunding that is against their version of democracy, which is bureaucracy. That's what's going on. And so the second part of that is, yeah, we're going to cut your programs, and none of that should be happening at the federal level. Anyway, can you imagine, Chris? The federal government wants to tell people living on the streets in San Francisco what their lives should be like. It's like the federal government should have nothing to do with it. That's all the city of San Francisco and the state of California. The federal government should have no say in that whatsoever. It's insane, but
Absolutely.
that's what they want. That's what they want. So anyway, kudos to the master of masturbation. Is he? How do you even term that? He's like the master chief, chief masturbator of the Democrat Party. Mental masturbator, Spartacus. That all seems to fit together. Spartacus.
Yeah, or actually, I always saw him as the great Cornholio when he goes into some of his tirades, throws his arms up in the air, goes, "I am the great Cory Booker. You'll give me tippy for my bunghole." Hey, that's what he does.
Are you threatening me? Are you threatening me?
I believe he did not break Strom Thurmond's record, though, did he?
I don't know.
Strom Thurmond was, I forget what his record was, but I believe Strom Thurmond still had the longest filibuster. It was 24 hours and 18 minutes back in 1957.
Well, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. In any case, Democrats being Democrats, mental masturbation.
That's right.
That's the high points.
This longtime Democrat spoke for that.
Lubin with Tubin. That's right. That's right, Tixie. She's paying attention to my tweets. Lubin with Tubin. They should do a TV series together. Bullethead Booker, and Lubin with Tubin. That's some TV magic right there. You can put it on CBS.
Here's something funny. Now, Tony, you pride yourself on your fitness. You're still looking. You look younger than I do. I think I look okay.
I don't know if that's true.
I believe I treat my body like
I'm only 39 for people who are tracking. I'm 39.
That's fair enough. But I treat my body like a temple, Tony, or at least a fairly well-maintained Presbyterian youth center. On the other hand, apparently some crazy judge, some Obama-appointed judge, by the way, in case you're wondering out there, decided to rule against the idea that there should be physical fitness standards in the military. I believe he's doing this for the sake of doing it, though. What is with these people? Oh, by the way, it's that crazy Judge Boasberg again. I don't know who unleashed this guy over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, fat is a new thin. Didn't you hear?
I got to tell you something, Tony. This is the exact premise. I mean, I'm not even joking with you. This is the exact premise of the Police Academy movies. Remember the Police Academy movies where the mayor,
Commandant Lassard, aka Joe Biden.
Well, Lassard was actually physically fit. The idea was the whole plot was the New York City needed cops. I believe it was New York City. So when there was lack of
Citizens on Patrol, that was a great sequel. Yeah,
but the mayor decided for the first movie that they would loosen the requirements, the physical requirements, the mental requirements for police recruits. So this is why
Yeah.
you had that fat guy Barbara in there. You had people who couldn't really hack it as cops any other year going in there and becoming the police. So basically, they're trying to get a police academy recruit class to destroy the country.
That's
I'm
right.
nearsighted. I couldn't get in a long time ago. I'm too nearsighted. Now you probably could get in.
Well, I think it's indicative of who the left really are. So, and yes, I see in the chat, USN Air Crew Liberation Day is today. We'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah, we're
But
getting to that.
Back to a police academy. Yeah, I think Commandant Lassard. And I used to talk about this before Biden was elected. By the way, that they wanted to bring Lassard standards into existence, and here we are. So.
Oh, he was Commandant Lassard, so
Yeah. He just didn't have the goldfish in the little container he brought around with him, but I digress.
right. There he is,
Yeah.
Commandant Lassard
There he is.
himself. Oh, it's
Yeah.
funny. This whole thing was actually parodized. Have you seen that new television show featuring what's his name, Dennis Leary, as a colonel?
No.
Okay, it's called Going Dutch. He's a great
I
combat
have not
guy.
seen it.
Yep, he's a
I have not
combat
seen it.
hero, and he got relegated to being the commander of some kind of peaceful place, laundry detergent base in Stroopsdorf, Netherlands. And they parodized this by using a guy named, I forgot this kid's name. He's a pretty decent actor, but he plays a corporal in the army, and he's a huge blob of a human being who's apparently a techno warrior or something like that.
Yeah.
He uses he's a hacker, but they brought this guy in because and I guess they parodized this whole idea that Boserberg's bringing to life. Guy with I was a human blob, really couldn't pass the muster for any physical standards on a high school basketball team, let alone the army, and he gets in. And Leary
Yeah.
makes fun of him almost every episode about this, but
Yeah.
this is now real. It's going to be the real life army at this point.
So there was some truth to all of this. During the Biden years, standards went to hell. As a matter of fact, you could have beards. There's a bunch of other things. So anyway, so Pete is tightening that up, literally. And then the standards, like there's tattoo issues coming up. A lot of people have tattoos. I fundamentally have no issue with tattoos. I don't have any personally. I don't care if you do. But if you're in uniform, you shouldn't be showing them. Just saying.
Right.
And then the issues of hair. Look, people, those people who know me, I used to have a freaking ponytail in the 90s because I was still undercover, and I was there's a for those who are in the military, I have a green ID card, one of the green active duty ID cards, my hair down to my shoulders, being an active duty captain, because I was a freaking operative. I was doing spy stuff. That doesn't mean you should just do it willy-nilly. Well, that's willy-nilly. Let's not talk about Bill Clinton today. But anyway.
He wouldn't go home, would he?
He
Willie?
wouldn't go home. He wouldn't go home.
Well, he
I don't
won't
know
go home.
why.
I don't
He
know.
would.
You can't tell Willie because Willie won't go.
Willie won't go. Well, he'll go somewhere. He went to Epstein's Island, which I guess, by the way, folks, we're going to see the unclassified list finally of people who visited Epstein's Island. We should do about that next week, not now.
Right.
But anyway, back to this. And yeah, I know people who are extraordinarily gifted hackers. I will just refer to a guy named Chuck who worked for me. I will leave his last name out of it. Chuck was an extraordinarily gifted hacker. He was a computer scientist officially, but he did hacking, just saying. And he was large. He was a double plus size. He was a large guy, but he wasn't in the military. He was a civilian. And I know we have people in the military who have mad skills, but there's standards that have to be adhered to. And Pete Hegseth has gone back and said now, if you're a man or a woman, you got to have the same standard if you're in a combat MOS, which I agree with. I've been in combat. I know this is hard to believe, but bullets don't discriminate between men and women. Did you know that, Chris? Bullets don't know the difference.
Are you
Did
sure
you know
about
that?
this? Are you sure about this? Because I thought the bullets were DEI trained now, aren't they?
I'm pretty sure that bullets and bombs don't know the difference between men and women. Just saying. So if you need to move out of the way of a bomb, You got to move your ass. You need to move your ass.
Sit
The
on
more
your
chance
helmet.
the bomb's not going to get you. Just
Right.
say it.
Sit on your helmet. There we go.
Sit on your helmet. Yeah, that's great. Why you all sit on your helmet? Keep our balls from getting blown off, man. All right,
Yes.
that's different. That's a different standard. Okay, I'll grant you that.
Tony loves the
That
smell of
is
napalm
different.
in the
That
morning.
is different. That's right. No, I love that movie.
It was a great
Oh
movie.
man.
All right.
Man.
I know the Patriots.
Are you do you know who your commander is? Yeah.
I love that. That's fantastic. By the way, I
Who's the
know
commanding officer?
I know that our the Patriots would like us to talk about this, so let's get into that. It's
All right,
supposed to
let's
be
get into it.
Liberation Day. It should be
Yes.
Liberation Day. So here's the thing: a lot of the left here in America and a lot of other countries are very worried over this, or at least they're worried because we're just trying to even things out. It's not a bad deal.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
people will get used to it. Hey, you hear Governor Hochul saying congestion pricing. You're going to get used to paying it. And everybody's going to like it. Well, guess what? This
Yeah.
goes both ways. Tariffs. They've been getting an easy deal for a long time. Now, time to pay up. Time to pay the piper. And it's
Yep.
all about evening things out, not taking more. That's the worst of it all.
So I think people are going to come to be surprised of how many nations were tariffing us. I mean, it's kind of like it's been very clearly documented that we gave the EU a benefit. The Europeans during the day, the Marshall Plan after World War II. Yeah, we wanted to help rebuild Europe, and they wanted to incentivize creating businesses, manufacturing, and other services in Europe. Okay, so they would tax our stuff, and it was difficult to get an American car in Germany. It was, and probably still is, but
And likely
the
still
reason was tariffs. We didn't have tariffs; they had tariffs. And so the idea here is we're just going to lower, and guess which of our allies instantly said, "Oh yeah, this is a great idea." The Israelis, like, yeah, no tariffs. Let's just trade, and it's great. It's like, right, let's just trade. And it's like, yeah, I'm against tariffs too, but if they're going to use them against us, then we should use them against them. And the basic taxation that comes from the moving of goods could replace income tax, and it could, and it should, because I think that's the right thing to do. Because so much of what we get taxed on, Chris, you and I and the Patriots, it's not about running government. Even Senator Spartacus said yesterday that the budget and the deficit is going to be out of control. So it's not about the spending or taxation. It's about controlling us. Taxation is about controlling us. It's about taking resources away from us to use them for what the government wants, to prevent us from doing things that we may want to do. It limits creativity. Go ahead. Yeah.
It's also about a global balance. That's the globalist elite are trying to push through a global balance there. I always tell you, the best way to do this is to help smaller nations, not to kneecap the more prosperous nations.
Exactly.
So what they've been doing was allowing or forcing. I suppose our government was a party to this. So we were allowing ourselves to kind of take the short end of every trade agreement for a very, very long time to give them a leg up, hurt us, which in turn destroyed a lot of middle America and took manufacturing out of this country, put it in other nations where they knew they can get a cheaper and easier time. Having said that, all this terrible government spending, the money laundering through USAID, and the idea of using the American taxpayer as a cash cow has finally come to a critical mass, and we can't afford this anymore. We probably could 30 years ago afford the imbalanced trade and maybe helping these nations out a little bit. Now we can't. It's time for everybody to finally say, well, you know what? It's okay to even things out because you've been carrying us for at least a century. Okay, maybe half a century or 75 years. But that's what America's been doing, especially since World War II, carrying the world, carrying the free world, carrying a lot of these other nations. Now it's time for you guys to fly off a little bit on your own. Do a couple of things yourselves. Tony, the EU's fighting back already. Want to hear what this chick had to say about it? About the tariffs?
That's Ursula von der Crazy. Let's hear what von der Crazy has to say.
And because of this collective experience of the last, almost 75 years, so many Europeans feel utterly disheartened by the announcement from the United States. Let me be clear, Europe did not start this confrontation. We think it is wrong. But my message to you today is that we have everything we need to protect our people and our prosperity. We have the largest single market in the world. We have the strength to negotiate. We have the power to push back. And the people of Europe should know that together we will always promote and defend our interests and our values, and together we will always stand up for our Europe.
So is it okay for us to stand up for us?
Exactly. You see, you have to understand, she's Adolf Hitler in Taylor Swift clothing. That's what it is. So
I thought she was Frau from those Austin Powers movies.
Oh, well, or Frau, what's her name from High Anxiety? Phyllis Leachman played with Harvey Korman. What was her name? That's a great movie, by the way. If you haven't seen it, go check out High Anxiety.
That was a
High
classic.
Anxiety.
That was a classic. I didn't know anybody else remembered that one.
High Anxiety. Oh my God, I love that movie. That's got some great lines in it too. Anyway, yeah, she does look like the Phyllis Leachman monobrow character, the German nurse who basically beats up on Harvey Korman's character. But it's I wish I could remember her name. I'll look it up here in a second. But yeah, she's nuts. She's nuts. And then the idea here, again, just for those who aren't following closely, but I think most of you are, they don't like the fact that we're going to like tariff them because they've been tariffing us. We didn't start this. Like, well, you kind of did. You maintained tariffs and we dropped, we didn't have any. So you kind of did. So
one of the Patriots, I think it was Man K, said she looked like Eva Braun. I don't know. I don't think she looked like Eva Braun. Or she looks more. And the Boomtown Rats actually once did a song called "I Never Loved Eva Braun," singing as Adolf Hitler. It was pretty funny.
Oh, she played Nurse Diesel. That's right there. There she is.
That's
Nurse
perfect.
Diesel.
Absolutely perfect.
Yes, that's her.
Let's bring cousin Vinny.
Close up. There she is. Hey, cousin Vinny. Good morning. We're talking about Hollywood stuff, so welcome.
Welcome. Good morning, Chris, Anthony. How's everybody doing out there?
Good to see you all. Yeah, good to see you.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Vinny. Do you think she's more like Eva Braun or Nurse Diesel? That not Vander Crazy. I don't know. I think that's her right there. I think that's her. Yeah, there she is. Another shot right there.
Yeah, just put purple hair on her like the other one.
Nurse Diesel. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Oh, this is a good one. I can't not show that one. Look at that. Get well.
Well, let's close up this one.
God.
A little more like do that again, Tony, for the close up here.
All right.
She looks a lot like Nurse.
Let me let it focus. Yeah, there we go. Get well.
Oh man, that's gotta be
bad. Nurse Diesel.
That's Nancy Pelosi, her high school graduation picture.
This is like Dr. Tung's 3D House of Horror. Would you like some syrup? Count Floyd, another one. Count Floyd. We should ask Rick Moranis and those guys to come on sometime. Don't you think, Chris?
I think Joe Flaherty pass?
Did Joe? I don't think so. I think Joe's still around.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought something was up here. He was Count Floyd, Joe Flaherty.
He was great.
Yeah, he was.
No, you're right. He died, unfortunately.
Yeah, he was.
Maybe we can do a seance and call him back.
If it worked for
Floyd.
If it didn't work for Houdini, it might not work for him, but we'll see what happens. Well, that'll be good for Halloween. There we go. So we're doing all of this, and again, this is the idea that tariffs are some kind of evil thing when it comes to importing goods. The idea is this: we should be manufacturing here again. We can revitalize this nation. I hear a lot of people on the left and the neocons saying over the last 20 years, manufacturing will never come back to the U.S. unless they're maybe trying to convince some red staters to vote for them. They've been saying this for a very long time. We can bring manufacturing back. There are foreign car companies that are manufacturing here. Hyundai has plants in America. So why couldn't others do the same thing? That actually could circumvent tariffs, giving people jobs here in the U.S. This is going to hurt for 6 months, but in the long run, we're going to see a lot of. This is going to work out for everybody in the long run, for that matter.
I think it's a great idea, the tariffs. I mean, we've been paying for everybody else outside the United States. It's about time they start paying us.
Right.
You know,
Well,
and that's it.
We're just staying even with us. It's about we're just doing the even Steven thing. We're not telling people to pay 100% more or 5% more in tariffs unless they screw us over or try to mess around with us. That's fine. Like Venezuela. Who wants
man,
products anyway?
Well, I think I think we're going to see, as Chris said, benefit from this. I think we'll see some long overdue changes. And it's look, the Germans and the French, Dutch, Portuguese, Italians, Greeks. It's like, look, if you want to trade with us, you need to essentially let our businesses have the benefit of not having to pay tariffs to go into your country. So I think it's going to be helpful to get American goods sold all over the world. And I think we should also move forward. Vinny, do you think we should go ahead and move forward with our invasion of Greenland by putting in Walmarts all across the tundra? Would that be a good idea?
well, I think it'd be a great idea, but I honestly believe what Trump's saying, that we really need it because of China and Russia. And I mean, it's not good. We need to have Greenland, you know?
Yeah, and Blue Patches, I agree with you. Yeah, there's a treaty we signed. It was part of the Marshall Plan too. We rebuilt Europe, and Europe owes us. So, by the way, Vinny, do you think they're going to start World War III because they started the last two? Do you think they're going to go for the trifecta here?
I don't know, but
World War III.
They keep talking about that movie. I forgot the name of it. I heard it last night about like Ukraine. So something with the nuclear power plants all over the place in Russia, that they may blow them all up, and that could be dangerous because the clouds could travel.
Yeah,
you know.
we learned from Chernobyl. When Chernobyl blew up, next thing you know, you had Dutch cows all radiated, glowing in the dark, which is true. It's a true story. It's true. That's right. That's right. Glowing cow farts. That should be Ocasio-Cortez's nickname. Glowing cow farts. That could be her. That could be her Indian name.
She's not cool enough for a nickname. I'll tell you that. She'll never be as cool as Jasmine Crockett. That I can give you right there. Here's something for you guys. By the way, I want to give you guys something here. Did you know that this organized bankrupt Tesla group is tied to that crazy singing Ministry of Disinformation leader Nina Jankowicz?
You mean the singing Marxist?
Yes, the singing Marxist, the Biden's ministress of disinformation, or is it ministerette? I don't even know how to say that.
Mary Poppins of hate.
Right. Exactly. People, Now, you and I both on this show, and I believe on another show together, Tony, talked about Nina Jankowicz's involvement with the American Sunlight Project, and of course her this think tank overseas, the Wilson Center. Also, we discussed a lot of her Hypatia project as well. All of this has to do with money that was going. Some of this actually was funded through USAID.
Right.
And a lot of the USAID money went all the way over there. Well, winds up, the Jankowicz's co-founder of the American Sunlight Project is a guy named Carlos Alvarez Araños. Okay, this is from Zero Hedge. He's a communications professional. I love the way they put that in quotes because that's what I am. That's great. So do I not have a real job, Tony?
I don't know. Are you a thinker? Because I know that's another term they use. I wrote it down.
Creator.
They call people thinkers. See, where's thinker. Are you a thinker? Because I wrote that down. It's like, really? What is the hell? You got to be a thinker, and you got to have quotations. if you're going to be a credible person on the left.
Yeah.
Just saying. I don't make the rules; they do. Just saying.
So apparently, this he was from the Biden DOD. One of the people who launched the call for the boycott of Tesla. So these whole bankrupt Tesla
it's all
groups are
related.
very well moneyed. This is not grassroots
Yeah.
stuff. This is all very well moneyed
No.
and very well orchestrated.
No, that's why Trump is trying to defund all this from destroying USAID. Vinny, do you think that that when we get rid of USAID in about 6 months, the Democrats are going to be out of money to do all this stuff?
I think they're running out of money already because Trump is cutting off everything. He's cutting off all their funds. He's cutting everything. And I was amazed that, like everybody said, George Soros is putting the money out for this, putting the money out for that, only to find out that the money that he was using is from USAID.
That's from us. Yeah, exactly. So a question for both of you. Do you think, Chris and Vinny, do you think that Cory Booker, Spartacus, should start selling Girl Scout cookies to make up for the loss of USAID? I think he'd look good in a skirt. What do you think?
I think so, but did you see last night? He made history, like the longest talking bullshit ever.
That's true. That's true.
The longest talking.
He's good.
He just kept yapping. That's what he was doing.
Well, I do want to acknowledge the on something completely different and serious. I see folks, the Patriots are talking about Val Kilmer passing. Val Kilmer, we want to recognize. He did pass yesterday with family. I don't know. I never met the guy. Seemed like a nice enough guy. Did some great acting. Vinny, did you ever meet Val Kilmer in your Hollywood work?
No, I never met him.
We want to recognize he passed. He seemed like a good guy. So yeah, there he is.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, and if you saw Maverick, I'm sure a lot of you saw Maverick. They brought him in. It was a great thing. They brought him in there. It's one, and he did his best. He was in front of the camera. And it was great to see the ice kind of bring his story into the Iceman's character, and that was kind of nice. I like that. Also, I like Bob in that movie too. By the way,
Bob
was my favorite Maverick character.
Wow.
Bob, the guy with the call sign Bob. Remember, everybody else had these cool call signs, and there's one guy, Bob.
Yeah.
Here's a guy with a cool sign. It's the guy I love to have on a bunch of shows that we did together, Tony, and in the past. His name's Jared Knott. He's our guest right now. He wrote a book a while back called Tiny Blunders, Big Disasters, The Many Tiny Mistakes That Changed the World Forever. He has a sequel to that, and we're talking about it. A lot of mistakes were made in history that kind of altered our own timeline. Welcome.
Good morning, Jared. Welcome to Wake Up Patriots. Well, welcome.
I was just listening about Val Kilmer. Yes, I'm a big fan of his. My favorite line from him is in Tombstone. Yes, I'm your Huckleberry.
That's a great scene. I was just watching that as part of my prep this morning. Yeah, that's a great scene. He was about to shoot someone, and the guy came in and said,
"Yeah, the pistol behind his back, and they were challenging."
Yeah, it was great.
There, yes, I'm your man. I'm your Huckleberry. I'm standing by.
So Jared, we've been talking about. Obviously, we want to get to your book and talk about mistakes. Do you think Cory Booker had something behind his back when he was speaking for 24 hours?
No, I don't.
I'm just asking because I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I don't think he had anything. Yeah. He kind of blathered on for like 24 hours and talked.
I told you.
It makes sense. No, to summarize the whole situation, when you get somebody doing something wrong, they're sometimes the people that scream the loudest. Well, the Democrats have been caught with their hand in the cookie jar. In fact, all the way up to their elbow, all the way up to their shoulder in the cookie. It's just shocking. The tens of billions of dollars that have been stolen from us right and left. Right, these non-governmental agencies, the OMGs, it's just an excuse for thievery. There's hopefully going to be some people going to jail, some trials, some sentences, and some long prison terms for the billions of dollars they've stolen from the American taxpayer. And instead of attacking Teslas, we should just be outraged in the street, standing in front of the Democratic National Headquarters with pitchforks and torches. Is the outrage that we've been going through.
Well, see, the problem is, Jared, I know where the DNC headquarters. I used to have to park next to it when I went to Rayburn because I used to spend a lot of time there. The problem is, you can't really get close to the building because there's all these Stoli delivery trucks dropping off vodka. So it's like it's tough to get past the delivery trucks because they're kind of always there. It's like a continuous stream of vodka going in. Not that I think there's anything wrong with that, but they don't even buy Dutch vodka. They buy Russian vodka. Maybe there's a connection. I don't know. But Eric, tell us about your second book, about some of the mistakes in history that people will. Don't give away everything, but tell some folks about the book so they'll go out and buy it.
Yeah, a few teasers here. Well, let me start off with a wonderful announcement. Tiny Blunders, Big Disasters, Book 2 is now #1 in U.S. history with Amazon.
Congratulations!
Nice.
Congratulations!
That's great.
The first book, book #1, is #6. So when you look at it, you have #1 on the left-hand side, number 2 to the #6 position. That's been just tremendous. Congratulations to all the people that work with me. Yes, book 2, and the basic premise of the book is based on the old saying coming from Benjamin Franklin, that for one of the nail, the shoe was lost, one of the shoe, the rider was lost, one of the rider, the battle was lost, one of the battle, the empire was lost, the empire was lost, all for want of a nail. And that's a nice old saying, but how often does that really happen, that a single tiny mistake causes an empire to collapse? You will be amazed how often it's happened over and over and over again. In book #2, we talk about 3 different times in history when an open gate or unlocked gate led to the fall of the fortress. Somebody forgets to close the gate or lock the gate. Here comes the enemy, and Fort Mims and Fort Parker, and also the biggest one of all, Constantinople, which was the last vestige of the Roman Empire, fell in large part because somebody did not lock a gate. Okay, and not secure a gate. And Elon Musk, by the way, sent out a couple of years ago. He sent out this little colorful cartoon character, and it shows a soldier with his helmet on and a blanket pulled up to his chin, and a little bubble showing his thoughts, and he's saying, "Did I remember to lock that gate yesterday?" Well, the answer is no, he didn't. And then Constantinople and the final standing of the Roman Empire collapses as a result of that tiny little mistake, just one of many.
Well, I think it's akin to the butterfly effect. I have a number of friends who study metaphysics.
Yes.
And, the butterfly flutters here. And next thing you know, Cory Booker's talking for 24 hours. I think it's all linked, Some butterfly in India fluttered, and Cory Booker took that as a signal to talk, right?
And
I think that's what the linkage is.
Exactly.
And in the middle, somewhere in the middle, are the 4 lads who told you that it's now Istanbul, not Constantinople.
That's right. That's right.
Yes, there was
right.
And
the Fort, we should bring on the we can bring on the Fort Neat guys to talk about that too, right? Or is it the 5 Neat guys?
It was
there's more.
Lorenz back in the 1950s, and he was won the equivalent of the Nobel Prize for mathematics. They didn't have one, but he won the equivalent of it. Very widely recognized mathematician, and he was had this way back when in the 1950s. He had this. He was making a prediction of the weather. He had a number with a decimal and 18 little small numbers behind it. He said, "Gee whiz, it's taking so long for the computers of the day to run this number. Let me just whack off." I said 18, whack off about 6 of them, so it's only 12 numbers, and that way the computer system will run faster. He was amazed what a huge difference that made in the outcome and the weather prediction. So he was saying that he made a presentation to a big mathematical convention. He said, "This means that a butterfly flapping its wings in Brazil can set off a chain reaction that can lead to a cyclone in Texas a year and a half later." And that's the concept of the butterfly effect. And it is true. It's sort of comparable and analogous to somebody leaving Seattle, Washington, and they're going to London, and their compass is off just 2 or 3 degrees, and they end up in Madrid. Okay.
Right.
That's the basic thing they were talking about. It's a butterfly tumbling effect, a domino effect. It just multiplies. In the end, you have this huge disaster. And when I was first writing the book, I started off talking about Professor Lorenz, and I had a good advisor who had been an editor at McMillan. And he said, "Listen, you're going to put people to sleep talking about a mathematical professor. No one wants to hear about that. You need to have a different kind of entry to your book." So what I did was to put in, I talked about the story of the Titanic. Okay, and when they were changing officers, one officer forgot to pass the key along to the second officer who was taking control, who was second in command. And inside that locker were the binoculars, they called them glasses, that were locked where they didn't have a key to unlock the locker. So the men on the crow's nest up there observing, looking for glaciers in the nighttime ocean there in the North Atlantic didn't have any eyeglasses, didn't have any binoculars, and they couldn't see the iceberg in time. They called down there when they did see it, turned to the left, turned to port, but it's too late. The iceberg it scraped the right side, the starboard side of the ship, ripped open the rivets, and it caused the ship to sink. And one man survived. They were giving testimony there in New York. How much of a difference would that have made? Whether we'd have seen it faster, how much faster? Well, we'd have seen it in time to be able to avoid the iceberg. So the sinking of the Titanic took place because they forgot to pass on the key, a tiny blunder leading to a big disaster.
So did you ever see the series Connections with James Burke? It's very similar. And I think yours is better because you're American and he's British and he had bad teeth, just saying. No offense, James.
But, yes, in fact, you mentioned that. The book was reviewed by the Mensa Bulletin, and the lady who wrote a review of the book was cited that very example, how there's a great similarity between the two. And that is an excellent book, and it was very flattering for the comparison. Yes. Yeah,
good. So so people, you ought to go up, and I love this stuff. I'm a geek. I love seeing connections because I think all too often we do have influence over things. I don't think, Jared, we all fully understand the influence we have. As Ronald Reagan once said, great things can come from individuals' actions. I don't think we should ever undersell ourselves. I mean, look, maybe something will come out of Cory Booker. I don't know. Maybe something. Well, hope springs eternal.
He was still a little better than Sharpie Sharp, the mayor of Newark before him. So I can give him a little bit of credit.
Well, let me ask Jared a question. So, Jared, do you think it would have been better to have essentially one of, I don't know, maybe Nancy Pelosi's flying monkeys do the talk, or was Cory Booker? Which is better? I don't know. Is there a bigger or?
You got me, Tony. I don't know. I don't know.
That's a tough question. I don't know.
You know what I would like to see? Let's take this scenario. California is trying to push Kamala Harris as its next governor. Think about this. Maybe she gets elected senator, comes back, and she does a filibuster. Could you imagine the entertainment value of a Kamala Harris 23-hour filibuster?
No, I can't. Don't say it.
No.
He'll be saying, "Hi, I'm John York, and I have a headache this big."
No, Chris, you're missing it. No, it's going to be a 24-hour Willie Brown reunion with Kamala Harris. That's what we need to look forward to.
Hey-yo, that deserves a hey-yo.
No, that was stuff. Somebody told me she was just 18 years old when she started having with Brown. Is that right?
That's right.
Like that. And they say she slept away to the top. First one, and then another, till she finally got to be U.S. Senator. So I don't know. That's not much of an example of DAI. It's an example of how we see your boss.
How about that for the butterfly effect, right?
Or DUM instead of DEI. Hey, think about this. We're really going here on this book, Tiny Blunders, Big Disasters, book 2, because you talked about this. We're talking about sinking ships here. Talk about the Titanic. They talk about the Democrat Party, another sinking ship. You also have something in the book about the Bismarck and a little blunder there that could have saved the ship, huh?
Yes, that's it's a fascinating story there. It's actually a series of tiny mistakes. It's funny how there was mistakes on the part of the British, mistakes on the part of the Germans, mistake on the part of the British. One mistake. At one point, the British sent their planes in the storm to attack another British ship, and so they started shooting torpedoes at this British ship. In Sheffield, I think it was. Anyway, fortunately, it was a new mechanical. It was a magnetic kind of detonator, which didn't work, and so it didn't sink the British ship. They go back to the Ark Royal, get loaded with the old traditional kind of torpedoes, and they attack the Bismarck, and they got lucky. One of the torpedoes happened to hit the rudder, and it didn't sink the ship, but the Bismarck could only turn in one great big circle.
Disabled it.
No longer escaped to the French coast, and so they managed to blow it out of the water finally. But it was a series of mistakes. Yes, the German admiral was warned not to transmit in the open with radio. He should have radio silence. He said, those people over there in France, the Central Command, they don't know what they're talking about. I'm not going to pay attention. And he broke radio silence, and that was one of the reasons they were able to find him and sink the Bismarck. So real quickly, it's kind of it'll take several minutes, but anyway, that was the essence of it right there.
Well,
Yeah, and
let's
the
put it-
swordfishes, the actual biplanes that the British used were so slow that the British guns couldn't track them. It's like nobody would but use biplanes in a new war. It's like they couldn't even. They were going in so slow they could never track them out. So it was like, to your point, Jared, multiple like little things. It's like, yep, there you go.
Exactly
and they
right.
lead up to a number 3 song by Johnny Horton in 1960.
Oh yeah, that's great. This is great.
And a movie, by the way. So
A great movie. It's a great song there. It really captures the spirit. Yes, you're right. The swordfish can only fly at 90 miles an hour. They were World War I biplanes. The targeting systems on the Bismarck were set to only go down to 150 miles per hour. So they couldn't target very well. And here come these, they come lumbering in, barely staying in the air. They drop their torpedoes. They sink the Bismarck because they were too slow to be shot out of the air.
They could barely do 100 knots. I know, it's like nuts.
Yeah,
by the way, the song "Sink the Bismarck" was recorded by the Blues Brothers for the movie, but cut out.
Seriously?
It was
I
not
didn't
in the
know
movie.
that.
It was deleted. Yes, it was a scene that was cut from the movie.
Yes, Johnny, it's a
Wow, that's pretty cool.
fun song to listen to, and it really captures the energy and the spirit there. And there's a story about Johnny Horton. He had this strange fixation at the age of 35 that he was going to be killed by a drunk on the highway. He had this strange fixation, and well, okay, I think it's sort of like the prediction he made it come true. He would drive too fast.
I think you can do that. I think, yeah, you can
And he said
fixate on
right
things.
long, and he died at the age of 35, which I think he's kind of self-fulfilling prophecy kind of thing there. But
Yeah.
anyway, another tiny blunt.
I
Yeah,
think that's true
good one.
because, as Chris always points out, Jasmine Crocker is fixated on being a hood rat, and that's where she's going. She's heading in that direction because she's like a rich person, right, Chris? She's not like a poor person.
She's quite posh.
She's like Fergie, only a different color. That's right.
Well, Kamala Harris made a good amount of money. She doubled her net worth, I think, but her husband makes money. But also, Stacey Abrams was about to get $2 billion.
Yeah.
I know. Let's talk
Glad
about
to see that
Yeah.
gone.
So
That would
yeah,
be
just for the Patriots to understand, Jared, let me give some background because I think it's important. People. Now, first off, I've got a degree in environmental studies. Let me state, because I always state it every chance I get, man-made climate change is a fraud. It takes 11,000 years to understand one cycle of Earth's climate. We ain't there yet. We haven't been around as a civilization to have the data. Just saying. And the insanity that throwing money at something is going to resolve it. That didn't work with education. It's not going to work with climate. Anywho, the Biden folks do this new Green Deal legislation, also known as the Inflation Reduction Act, which didn't reduce inflation, was a giveaway. Jared Stacey Abrams was due to be the middleman. Well, the middle
they, right?
Yeah. And by the way, did you know she's the president of Earth? Right, Chris? She's the president of Earth.
President of Earth. I'll pull it.
According to Star Trek, she's the president of Earth. Anyway, the president of Earth was going to take $8 to $10 million a year to give out all this money, right, Jared? Is that kind of the story?
So I understand. Yeah. It's staggering. It's staggering.
There you go.
Yeah. And just remember, check out Jerry's book. There she is, The Truth About Climate. Jerry. Yeah, there she is. By the way, did she lose weight there, or is that like all done with lights?
I think it's done with video trickery, if you will.
Careful.
Yeah.
Careful.
Looks like a green screen.
Don't go too far, boys. Don't go too far.
Looks like a green screen behind her.
Oh.
You know, I've been in the Excella waiting room with her in New York, and it was a shame that she took up a couch. More people could have sat up.
Careful.
Vinny, you've been there. You've been to the accelerating room. You know what I'm talking about. It's like it's pretty small, and when you take up like a couch, just saying, it's kind of rude.
Well, this is actually this was not really a scene from Star Trek. I'll be honest with you. This was actually taken from Medea Goes to Washington from Tyler Perry.
And Tyler Perry's
Well,
new studio.
I look. No. I feel terrible because we are now depriving her of the money she could have used to fix her teeth. I feel terrible.
Oh, ouch! Heyo.
It's terrible. It's a
Oh
tragedy.
God.
It's like lighten up on the poor woman. Lighten up on the poor woman. So
Lighten up, Francis. That's another great movie.
Oh, that is a great one.
That's another great movie. So, all right, so let's continue to talk about the book. So, Jared, what else would you want the folks to know about your book? Because I love these stories. These are great stories. Is there another hint you want to give us about one of the things about your book that would want to have encourage people to go out and buy it?
yes, the one of the stories there, the teaser is this: what outrageous man bought stolen horses from the Comanche Indians using counterfeit money? What could possibly go wrong?
Oh yeah, that could be.
The Comanches came back for revenge, which set off a chain of events which had a major impact on the history of the United States, southwestern United States. John Wayne later played this colorful character in a John Ford movie with the help of Natalie Wood. That's a fascinating story. It leads to the Fort Parker. They let the gate open at Fort Parker. Here come the Comanches. And Cynthia Ann Parker, a 9-year-old Cynthia Ann Parker, was captured by the Comanches. And she later became married to a Comanche chief. And she had 3 children, one of whom was Kawana Parker, who later became the most famous of the Comanche chiefs. It was very, very effective. The Comanche, by the way, were the most difficult challenge the American Army faced in the entire winning of the West, if you call it that. They were the best light cavalry in the world. What they could do on the back of a horse was absolutely acrobatic, was absolutely amazing. And it took years and years and years. They would win the early battles. It wasn't until they had the repeating rifle that they were able to finally neutralize and defeat them. But that was a fascinating story. And Cynthia Ann, kind of, she was later freed, and that's a long story in itself. But that was another example of somebody not like a.
I think you're talking about the movie The Searchers, if I'm correct on that.
Yes, with Natalie and Lana Wood.
Yeah,
exactly right.
So was that? So Jared, was that before or when Joe Biden was out with the cavalry back in those days? Was that before he was in Congress?
No, he was.
I'm always curious about Joe Biden's early days.
Yeah, he was, and also he was in World War I too, I think. But no,
That's right.
Way back when. And someplace in there, he got stupid, and I don't know what the cause of that was. So
he went over the top with Sergeant York to capture those Germans. So
it was
that's great.
And Dave, that was interesting there. One of the Chargers there at the Belo Wood, Dan Daly, who won the Marine Sergeant who won the Medal of Honor 2 different times, he led the charge by saying, "Come on, you sons of bitches, you gonna try to live forever."
That's a great line, which they put in the movie. Oh my goodness, I'm having a senior moment. Which I love that movie. It's with what do you call it? Starship Troopers. Starship Troopers.
Oh, did they really? Okay, no, I didn't see that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's a great movie. I actually enjoyed that. They're talking about doing something with that again. Anyway, but I digress. So no, and by the way, a trivia point for the Patriots. One of my best bosses ever was Colonel Jerry York, Gerald York, who was the grandson of Sergeant York.
Mm-hmm, right.
Jerry and I are still friends. Good morning, Jerry.
Wow.
Excellent.
Yeah, Jerry was. If there can be honor and integrity that is passed down by generations, it is the York family. It is amazing of what Jerry has done to maintain that legacy. So God bless you, Jerry, and the York family and heroes like Sergeant York. By the way, played by Gary Cooper, during the beginning of World War II. So,
and people try hard to look like him too.
Well, he won the Academy Award for Best Actor. He did an excellent job. Yes,
he did. Yeah, that's amazing.
And he and Sergeant York were friends. They met and they were friends. Yeah, it was a very good story. So,
yeah. And people don't know, Sergeant York actually came back as Major York during World War II and actually helped the Army during World War II. He basically came back and was doing things to help out. He gets no credit for it, but he did as a pretty impressive as a pacifist. He was a conscientious objector when he enlisted. And by the way, that's all real, Jared, to your point. I think he met Sergeant York. He met York and learned kind of his philosophy of life and how he went from this peace-loving guy that had some mad skills with a gun to understanding, war is sometimes necessary and that sort of thing. So it was a very
York, he had some influence on the decisions being made in the movie. had to approve the casting. And at one point, Jane Russell was in the line to be the wife, play the wife, York's wife, but he wanted somebody who had never been divorced. I think the story was, and they chose a very young, Joan Davis. It's not quite right. Anyway, she was just 16 or 17 years old, and Gary Cooper brought her a doll during the shooting, the production kind of thing to symbolize that. I don't think she appreciated that, but anyway. Yeah. But that was a kind of interesting thing. An excellent movie, and just when we needed it the most, at 1940, I think 1942, at the beginning of World War II.
Exactly.
He'd been offered many times to have put his story into the movies, and he kept turning it down. He was the real thing. Didn't want to be involved in all the Hollywood glamour. But then when World War II came, we're going to have to go out and finish the job that we didn't finish the first time around. Then he agreed for the movie to be made, anticipated, that sort of thing. By the way, another connection with that, General Pershing, who may have lost World War I, who worked for General Pershing, according to some experts, he was saying that we should have had an unconditional surrender in World War I. He said, if we don't do that, they're just going to lick their wounds. They're going to come after us again.
He was right. Yeah.
Sadly, tragically, he was proven right. Now, it would have been expensive in terms of men lost to continue the war until we got unconditional surrender. But it was just such a huge, huge burden. They were so eager to finally end the war. They accepted the truce. By the way, if it hadn't been for the last 10 days and the success of the American army there in the Ardennes, the agreement would have been not much more than just a plain truce rather than a surrender. Finally, because of the success of the American army at the end, it was a real surrender. However, it was not a complete unconditional surrender, which led to the planting the seeds for disaster that came later. So
that's true. Yeah. No, it's amazing, and people should study this. And Jared, you should come back on. I love history. By the way, here's my book, Chris. If you can do a close up on that. This was
Patriot doing a close up right now.
Can you do it? Because this, since we're talking about books, this is my copy of.
Oh wow! Yeah.
New York.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
And it's hold on. Let me see if I can find the front. There it is, and it's signed by the York family, to include Jerry York. There you go.
Wow.
That's excellent. That's great.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
That's cool.
I'm a big fan. So there you go. So, yeah, you see all these books back here. This isn't just Hollywood make believe. I've actually got stuff back there, believe it or not.
You're the real thing too, just like Sergeant York. You're the real thing. I'll mention another piece of trivia, which I'm sure you know. At the signing of the armistice, there was a ceremony there. There's a reporter that asked von Hindenburg who was responsible for winning the war, and he said that the final death blow to Germany came from the American infantry in the Ardennes. And of course, victory has 1,000 fathers. Failure is an orphan. And of course, the British took credit, which they deserve a lot of credit. The French took credit; they deserve a lot of credit. But it was the American infantry under the leadership of General Pershing that made the final difference. There's some historians say if it had not been Pershing, who we might have lost World War I. And by the way, here's another piece of trivia. Okay, you can make the argument that if it had not been for a correctly conjugated sentence a number of years earlier, that the Allies might have lost World War I. What the heck is that about? Well, way back when, in the 1880s, when Pershing was applying to be admitted into West Point, I think it's out of Missouri, he and another very bright young man tied in the test, the qualification test, the entrance examination. So to break the tie, they presented them with a sentence to be conjugated. Okay, and Pershing, bright young man, correctly conjugated the sentence. He wins the appointment to West Point. He goes on to be a very outstanding officer. He went from at one point went from captain to general in one league because he was such an outstanding young officer and did very well in the Philippines, and of course very well.
That's amazing.
But if he hadn't conjugated the sentence correctly, I think Leonard Wood would have been the commander. He might not have done so well, and we might have lost World War I. And by the way, as always doing more trivia, there's a professor out of Harvard who said some years ago it would have been better for the Allies to have lost World War I. Why? Because then World War II would not have been necessary, and it would have saved billions of lives. But of course, you get into all kinds of what ifs, like sort of thing. But there you are.
There you go. Well, Jared, thank you for being here today. The Patriots love you. It's like U.S. Navy air crew is saying how much they love people like you. We love.
We're doing this again. Yeah, we'll have to do this again.
Yeah, this was fun.
And
interesting.
And you can find out more.
I appreciate. Yeah.
They go to tinyblunders, bigdisasters.com. Tiny Blunders, BigDisasters.com. It goes to the webpage. We have 2
Check
free
it out.
shows
Check
there.
it out.
And we also have a Patriot.
You will not be disappointed.
Yes,
Yeah,
and,
this is great. You will not be disappointed.
It's a fun website to visit. So appreciate it very much for having me on. And nice talking to intelligent, well-read people.
Yeah, look,
you.
I believe it or I know we make fun of stuff all the time, but at least we know what we're making fun of, right?
Yes, yes. So we have to. Because it's easy to call us out if we do things like that. We don't know what we're talking
right.
about.
You got a little rough there on Stacey. A little rough on Stacey there a little bit, but that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good seeing you, Jared. Vinny, we'll see you in the
Yes.
movies.
Excellent.
So
Yep.
we'll
Yes,
have you back
definitely.
soon. And then Chris, we're back next Monday, right?
We're back. Yep,
So-
we're back on Monday. We got Trixie, we have Sean, and we have George on Thursday and Friday.
Yeah. So we'll have fun with them. You guys will have fun without us because we got other things to do. But we'll see you all Monday. Until then, have a great week.